Welcome back to Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software for the professional home builder. I'm going to do a few more videos that sort of follow along with a previous video about general ledgers and searching your accounting database for your accounting records. Please watch that previous video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about also some general ledgers that can group in total by month or quarter, and some period general ledgers with balance forward entries, etc., and ending balances, and also a monthly activity spread and a spread for the years 2010 to 2019. So let me start here with this monthly activity spread. And remember, I said in the first video that this is a demo video of a builder that we only have data really in the year 2002 and maybe 2003, and then I think I've come along and just done some demos and thrown some things in 2015 and 16. But we have data that a builder let us use in 2002, and it's pretty hard for me to spend a bunch of time entering thousands of records to try to make this be like a real builder, but you can get the idea. So what this is monthly activity totals for GL accounts summed by year. And so you can see each general ledger account going on here, and one of the more interesting ones might be your direct construction costs for how much you posted during each month. This is just how much you posted that month, and this is how much you posted to the account that year. Here's an average, and since this is a 12-month average and we only really put stuff in really mostly in 6 months, you'd probably want to take that number and divide it by 6 instead of 12 if you were interested in looking at something. This is more meaningful as you start looking at prior years and you've done entries for all 12 months. It can be very meaningful down here in your income and expense accounts. Let's get on farther down, like maybe telephone. You have entries for all 12 months and it's dividing it and telling you what your average is per month. Right now you'd want to take this year total and probably divide it by 6 or something to look at it. But usually you might use this for when you're trying to set up a financial budget for a new year, and so you can look at a prior year and see that it's filled in for all 12 months and see what's going on. I can do a search just for 2002 and 2003, and by the way, you click on the top one, slide down to make selections in these boxes. Or if I just wanted 2002 and 2005, I'd hold down my control key and select those two. But I'm going to unselect it and just slide down for these 2 years. And I might only be interested in my income and expense accounts that would be on my, because I'm doing some budgeting for my income statement. And I can select all of those after the equity, so it'll just be income statement accounts. And so I can see how much sales we posted, and hopefully you'd have some all the way across, and how much cost of sales for those couple of years that I selected. Mostly, like I said, our stuff's in 2002, so 2003 isn't even really showing up here in those income and expense accounts. We did some stuff in 2003, I think, in our balance sheet accounts, like direct construction. But anyway, there's that, and you can drill down on these to see what the entries were. If you're wanting to see what this number is made up of, you see 220, 220, 220 for advertising newspapers, but suddenly in March there was 448, and I think that's because there's this quarterly payment of something that we were doing then. And the 220 is made up of, in February, a couple of payments we made, which apparently we repeated in some other months. But you can see how you can drill down and see all of that stuff. So there's that, and you can do a report of what you searched for. So I could get that report in landscape, PDF report of all of that stuff, and then that way, if I go to the third page, I get some totals, which in this case, since I just asked for income and expense accounts that are on my income statement, would actually give me pretty much my net income for each one of those months by asking for those accounts. So there's that. And then there is a spread for the year 2010 to 2019. And once we hit the year 2020, we'll probably have to make a new one for 2020 to 2029 or something. And this doesn't have the year 2002 in it, because now in the year 2016, which is really where we're at, you probably don't need to look that far back to the year 2000, the first decade. So you can see what's going on here is here's the year 2010, 2011, 2014, and here's a group of your accounts and the names of the accounts. Here's the group property, plant, and equipment. And like I said, I don't have hardly any data in here other than some weird demo data that I did. But you can get the idea that you can see all of these and then print a report that will show you totals. And you can do the same kind of searching for certain kinds of accounts if you like. This one, you don't search for the years. Because it's a columnar thing, we're stuck with 2010 to 2019 for this kind of analysis. But you might find that interesting, and you can drill down, on various things to see what makes up those numbers. And the other thing I wanted to point out is if you go to the menu for the accounting database and general ledger, in our previous video we talked about all kinds of searches we could do of that accounting database here. But if I want to just do a quick search, and we're interested in the year 2002 in this demo data, and maybe I just want to look for my income and expense accounts. Let's just do that again. That's the 3,000 all the way to the end. And I open my thing for a quick search. I'd just like to show you a couple of more of the general ledgers that I didn't mention before. So there's reports based on my search, and you could of course do this in the great big database with all those search features and do these same kinds of reports. But one that I did, the reason I asked for the income statement accounts for that year, maybe I'm getting ready to do a financial budget, and I can do this general ledger that's by the general ledger account number and by month. And it's the detail of the entries for each month. So you can see the totals that you entered for each month. And if you go down here, what is this one? Telephone. You can see what you were doing each month. January, who you were paying, what vendors, what the totals were. And I think this kind of information can give you a lot of help for trying to budget for your financial budget for an upcoming year. So I wanted to show you that one. There's also one that's done by the quarter, in case you're just wanting to see quarterly information. Get down here to rent office equipment. You can see just how it's quarter 1 and quarter 2. We would have 3 and 4 if I actually had any data there, but so it's totaling it by the quarters if you're interested in some quarter numbers. So that's really what I wanted to show you. The other general ledgers, I think I went over all of these, but you can get an idea by their titles, and I'll probably put some sample reports for those there. And then back here, over here we have some additional period and summary ledger reports. And if you would like to do one that has beginning balances for the accounts and ending balances for the accounts, you need to do 1 month at a time, and there's a reason for that, because going and gathering based on any date the beginning balance, then having the detail, and then having an ending balance actually requires 3 separate kinds of computations that when you inquire in a database to do that, it can take quite a bit of time and memory to come up with that to put on a report. So I want to limit the number of entries, and so I say you should do this kind of ledger for 1 month at a time. So if I did January 1st, 2002 to 01/31/2002, and then I just ask I want a full ledger. I suggest that people really do print a hard ledger like this after they're all done with a certain month and put it into some notebook just because maybe I'm still a little old school, but having everything on a computer makes me wonder. So I always think I'm just going to have ledgers of every single month and just put them behind, or a folder for January, a folder for February. I've actually already opened these reports. Let's see which one this is, because I did two. I did one for, this is February, so let me look at the January one I did. But you can see how there's a beginning balance, and then in our cash account, and then all the entries for that month, and then the ending balance. We go down here on all our income statement accounts at the first of the year. Since we closed our books, we won't have beginning balances, because when you close your books at year end, you end up with zero in all these income statement accounts. But you can see how much was entered during January. All these are dated during January 2002. And if I do that other one and get on down there to the income statement accounts, you can see we start having beginning balances. If you remember our spread, we had 109 for advertising, or 220 for advertising in the month of January. So there's that balance forward. And now this is a February ledger showing these entries and coming forward. So that's how you do a period ledger with that will have beginning and end balances. And let me minimize these. And then there's a period ledger of job subtotals, which won't be very meaningful in this demo data, because I think the only job going on for real is our H11 River demo job during 2002. But you can see that you can see some entries here to our H job and then entries to our H11. So you can see how this is just showing you the totals for jobs in each account for the period that you selected, and this doesn't have to be limited to 1 month. It can be a whole year's period if you want it. And then there's a period ledger of cost code / job subtotals. And so you see the GL account, then you see cost codes, and then you see how much, see this GL account for direct construction costs is now showing you cost codes. There may be some reason you need to analyze that rather than using actual job cost reports. And another one that you might do is a trial balance for the period, and that can take a little while to open, and it's going to have beginning balances. But I showed that in the I'm going to close that. I showed that in the financial statements. It has to come up with 3 separate calculations there for every single account for the period that you selected. So it could take just a few moments to open, and we won't take up time with that. I showed that in the financial statement videos. The other thing is that down here you can select a year. Let's do our year 2002. And you can get a summary by month that doesn't have all the details. So here's, let's go back down to some of that advertising stuff on our income statement accounts. And you can see that kind of that same stuff that was spreading by month across when we did the spreadsheet is also showing up here for how much was in each month for just these months that we had any sort of activity, which was January to June, and the totals for each month. And there's that summary by quarter, but the ledger I showed you by month had all the detail behind it, and this is just showing you the totals that were posted during the period selected by each quarter. You could actually, during the year selected for each quarter. So that's another one that's available to you. And I think that might about cover it. We went over various trial balances in the financial statements section, so I won't do that again here. It's just also shown here and over where you do financial statements. I just wanted to make you aware of the various kinds of reports, various kinds of searching, ways you could look at things, ways things could be totaled for you in CHS, and thank you for watching.